recording. And this is our guidelines. By attending the remote Zoom meeting event, you agree to the public policy of Toastmasters International, as well as unassociated remote hosting service. Some of your personal information, such as name, image, and any shared messages, will be recorded. Your remote attendance hereby discharges Toastmasters International from all claims, demands, rights, promises, damages, and liabilities arising out of or in connection with the use or distribution of said video recordings, including but not limited to any of the claims for invasion of privacy, appropriation of likeness, or defamation. Please note that you should keep your devices muted, and we will proceed with the meeting. Our club mission statement is: we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Leadership Speak is the premier club for experienced Toastmasters to become better self-directed leaders. We are an advanced club focused primarily on leadership development in everything we do. Our timer has their virtual hand raised so we can all immediately see who is keeping the time. I shall also be spotlighting the timer. Our timer, can you raise your hand, please?
The timer is Mohammed Asif. Can you see?
You need to use the reaction button and raise your hand.
Yeah, I've done the reaction button. Can you see?
No, I cannot see.
As if you use the thumb, use the raise your hand.
It's the one at the bottom of your reactions.
The virtual hand.
Thank you.
Okay. So Asif is our timer. Asif, can you walk us through your role, please?
No, Asif doesn't do that now.
He doesn't do that? Okay.
No, you just introduced me. Thank you very much.
Okay. 1 second as I remove him. 1 second. Our Toastmaster of the day who will lead our meeting is Brahm Memone. Brahm, your introduction is a people whisperer. His primary purpose is to transform the world from a value extraction dependency to value generating interdependency. Leadership Speak is a project where the incubation of leadership occurs to create new ways to lead, serve, and generate value. 2023 is the year of fully expressing his leadership, not only in his training and coaching of the corporate world, but also at Leadership Speak by seeking innovative ways to inspire members to express their extraordinariness. His strategic growth plan centers around this vision. Please let us welcome our Toastmaster of the day, Brahm Memone.
Good morning or good day. This morning where I am. Welcome everyone. Happy New Year. It's good to be here back first at this is the first meeting of Leadership Speak, 7th of January 2023. Let's do some housekeeping first. I would ask the timer to raise their hand as it was before and keep your hand raised throughout the meeting. Mr. Timer, if you can do that, thank you very much. So I'll wait for Mr. Timer to raise his hand so we can all see him in the corner of the screen. Muhammad Asif, are you there? Perfect. Thank you very much. Now, how is everyone today? How are you all doing? Woohoo! All right, all ready to rearing and to go and get this year rolling and get to your goals and be that extraordinary person that you are, phenomenal being that you all are. Now, this is not words that I just speak. I really mean that, and you will see that at Leadership Speak. What do I mean by that? Well, this year, 2023, leadership is focused on increasing high-performing teams amongst our membership. We've split the membership into 3 different teams, and they are going to help each other become high-performing. Now, when I say high-performing, I mean at the advanced leadership level high-performing, not any other high-performing. So the measure is very, very different. And it will help them to express their real extraordinariness that they are, the phenomenal capacity and potential that every person has. They will be able to express that by 31st of December 2023. It's a mighty goal for a club and for 30 people to come together and say, this is what we are going to be doing. So the challenge is this to all of you. Those who are guests here and who don't join, if you don't join, I hope all of you join, but if you don't join, come back in the last meeting of 2023 and see what these guys are up to. Not only that, we have landmark milestones along the way. February the 18th is our anniversary meeting, and I hope that every one of you comes here and says, what are these guys up to? What have they done in the next 6 weeks? It's only 6 weeks away. Wow. Yes, February the 18th is only 6 weeks away, and this is our first anniversary. We're still trying to gel our club culture, by the way, but I'm sure everyone here knows that they have a spark of extraordinariness. Sometimes, you know, when you're sitting quiet and something wells up and you see, I can do so much stuff. But then suddenly it disappears. Why? Because you get so busy with life. You know, life has so many distractions and our minds are over here and over there and over there. And we want to have it all and do it all and be it all. And we have no focus. You can all be extraordinary, phenomenal beings and do, not only do, but be and do great things. And so that is the offer at Leadership Speak this year, as to what can you achieve this year. Now, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I have a team of people who will be helping me with this meeting, some extraordinary people. And they're going to they have a vision. They have a reason for being here. And I did ask every one of the people who are role players what they were doing here, why they were here, and so on. There were some tough questions, and most of them did answer what they were doing here. So my introductions will be based on what they said that they would be doing, either in the club or outside the club, because as you know, what we learn in Toastmasters must be duplicatable outside, because you are here to learn. This is not a social club. This is a learning organization and education organization, and everything that you do here today will be taken out and be used outside, right? And actually, I've asked my general evaluator today to evaluate me on certain criteria, and I've given him the criteria on why and what he should evaluate me on. So we'll see what he says at the end. Our very first helper here is to raise the toast is Hannah Smith. And Hannah Smith is going to raise the toast, but here's what she said when I asked her, what's your growth plan? Now, remember, I'm saying growth plan, not goals. There's a difference between growth and goals. So now let's see how people have answered the question, growth and goals. So she says she aspires to complete her path, a presentation mastery with Leadership Speak, and that should help her build to be an accomplished speaker and leader. So there's both goals and growth. She's got both of that in there. Perfect. And outside of Toastmasters, the presentation mastery will help her connect with audiences all over the world. Wonderful. Hannah Smith, your toast.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. Mr. Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters, let me start with a quote. No matter how hard the past, you can always begin again. That's what Buddha said. 2022 has been a great year, and many long-distance acquaintances have been established. Before I go further, please charge your glasses for your toast, for my toast. There we are. I am sure, and all of us will agree, I am very grateful to step into the new year at Leadership Speak Toastmasters with so many innovative, avant-garde leaders on board who successfully create a supportive and safe environment. Leaders who create a vision and put it into action. Let us all adapt our strategic leadership plan to fit with a vision. I want to end with a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Here's to the year ahead, our brightest year to come. Let us maneuver ahead into 2023 to establish more acquaintances or meet in person. Mr. Toastmaster, here's to the year ahead, our brightest year to come.
Here's to the year ahead.
The brightest year to come. Thank you, Hannah. What an amazing toast, befitting the theme of the meeting and to set us off for the year. Have a vision. And what is your vision for this year? My next facilitator or assistance that I will have is from our grammarian, who is, of course, the past district director in District 82. I'll just get those mixed up. I think it's 82, and she'll correct me if I'm wrong. And she was the one who led her district at the district level to Smedley's Distinguished a couple of years back. And so we have a powerful person here to present the grammarian role. I asked her about her growth plan, and I'll read it on the screen over here. She says to develop my speeches and explore my evaluation abilities. So she wants to get to the next higher level in the club itself and outside, to be a motivator and coach for leaders in outside organizations. She's just retired from her 100 years of working. Welcome, Nurul. You're muted, Nurul.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, it is my responsibility as a grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language usage. I will take note of any improper language as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or thoughts. As grammarian, it is also my duty to introduce the word of the day. For today's meeting, the word is maneuver, which means a movement or series of moves requiring skill and care. An example of using the word is members of Leaders Speaks are expected to maneuver their roles to become exceptional self-directed leaders. Each speaker is encouraged to use the word of the day. Please show off your hands when you hear the word of the day. I will give the grammarian's report when called upon during the meeting, and also report on the usage of the word of the day. Mr. Toastmaster.
I will try to maneuver my way through this meeting and see how we can end it on a high note. We started on a high note. I hope we did. The G will tell me at the end. But we hope to at least end on a high note by maneuvering through this meeting. Now, let me tell you this. This meeting will definitely go a little over. Why? Because This is a new year, and I want to make sure that I'm introducing every person the way they are supposed to be introduced. And they have long introductions, by the way. And I'm going to make sure that I do justice to the introductions that they send me. So I might be speaking a little bit more than what Toastmasters normally do, because this is a new year and we want to set it off on a right tone. See, I'm already speaking a lot, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, our timer, Mohammed Asif Sayed, is all the way from United Arab Emirates, I believe, and he's going to be telling us his timing. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Mohammed Asif Sayed. He's been wanting to become a member of this club for a long time, and it took him about 3 months to get into the club because he was waiting for some stuff to sort out, and then his health wasn't that great, but then he made it, and he's been an invaluable resource to what he does. His big goal coming up is to interview 100 Toastmasters and then to write a book from that. Can you imagine? He's going to interview 100 Toastmasters. Do you wish you are one of those Toastmasters he will be interviewing? Yes, Eddie. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mohammed Asif to tell us what he will be doing today.
A very good evening, good morning, Toastmaster of the day and fellow Toastmasters from all over the globe. My role today is of timer. As a timer, I will be helping the speakers practice expressing their speech within a specific time. My duty is to time the prepared speeches, table topics, and speech evaluations during this meeting. I'll explain the timing rules before every session and give you a report when called upon. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Mohammed Asif Sayed. Now we will move on to the education session, and we have a special, what I mean is in leadership speak, the education session is very, very different than what is normally done outside. The education session is consistent with what the theme of the day is, which is, of course, what are your growth plans for this coming year? Usually it is a pathways speech, but it is an extended pathways speech. Today we've given Rozy Rana 20 minutes. What would normally be a 7-minute speech, she's going for 20 minutes to speak on whatever she's going to speak on, which is make 2023 your most successful year ever. Now, her goals, when I asked her, she said she wants to amplify her impact inside and outside of Toastmasters, and she wants to become more inspiring, coach-like, and more entertaining. So be prepared to laugh during her presentation. I don't know. And of course, outside of Toastmasters, she wants to develop teams, grow her business, grow the business that she is in. She is the managing director of a big company in Nairobi. She's not just anybody. I mean, I look up at her and say, oh my goodness, I wish I had your job, making that millions of dollars. I'm putting you on the spot, Rozy. That's all right. Let's have some fun. Over to you, Rozy Rana. Make 2023 your most success year ever. Rozy Rana, all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, a young lad called Ravi was asked what his growth plans, what his goals for 2023 were. And this is what he had to say. My goal for 2023 is to accomplish my goal of 2022, which I should have done in 2021. And I had planned it in 2020, after I did not manage to achieve it in 2019. Fellow Toastmasters, is that familiar at all to you? Let's own up. Do we recycle our goals? Do we come back and have the same goals again and again? Or the beginning of the year comes and you say, oh gosh, what are my goals? And then you pick the list from last year and bring it in front. Why does that happen? Well, it seems that you're not alone. When you look at New Year's resolutions and goals and studies, the US News and World Report has shown that the failure rate in people achieving their goals and their New Year's resolutions specifically is about 81 to 82%. most people lose their resolve by middle of February. It is only 8 to 9% that proceed and complete and achieve the New Year's resolutions. The reasons that have been given are the following. The majority say they just lose their motivation. They start gung-ho, they start with excitement, the New Year's begun, and then the balloon busts. The second group of people say they were too busy. As Brahm Memone says, when you look through the lens of the veil of busyness, then everything becomes fuzzy and you're not going to see with clarity. And so you're not going to achieve your success. Most other people say they had a shift, and then there are all kinds of other reasons. But we here at Leadership, Brahm has introduced this as a premier club. We here at Leadership Speak must succeed. So what can we do so that we maneuver our way to become among those 8-9% and achieve success? Now, my take is that the high failure rate is not because of all those excuses. Excuses are just made to give ourselves some comfort that there was a reason that things happened as they happened. I believe that the failure rate is because of a lack of strategy, a lack of strategic goal setting. So today I want to look at a few things. Largely, it's going to be understanding what strategy is. And to understand this, and because this is about researching my project, I've looked at the origin and the evolution of strategy to today, and then looking at components of strategic goal setting. We'll also look at modern goal theory, but largely I'll keep coming back, even though modern goal theory has some components, I'll keep coming back to things we can do or things that have been proven to be best practices that will ensure success. And many of them revolve around how we set our goals, how we formulate them, how we go about them. So let's look at strategy. The word strategy, and forgive me for an academic lesson, but strategy comes from the Greek word strategia, which really came from the German, the general commander. It was very army related. But interestingly enough, the Greeks never used strategy, the word in the form it's meant to be. Romans used strategia to discuss the territories that were under the control of a strategist, the military commander. So again, it's very driven by the army and war. So strategic thinking as a whole sprung from the need by people to defeat their enemies. And this shows the strength, the power, they wanted to take control over territories. The Chinese Sun Tzu's work under the art of war of 400 BC, so before Christ, is the best work that discusses military strategy. The thinking that went behind people taking territories. And largely it's that once the enemy has been engaged, what are the tactics that needed to be used? And so this was the genesis of the word strategy. But over time, it's evolved. A lot has changed, but to a large degree, strategy, and many academicians from George Steiner, Henry Mintzberg, and later on, we've heard of Michael Porter, have talked about strategy in a manner that refers to the directions or the competitiveness one uses to attain one's purpose and mission. So it's all about very important actions that are taken so that one's mission is attained. So ultimately, as you're starting out, you're thinking, what are the outcomes we seek to achieve and how can we achieve them? So it's basically, you look at your current reality and you set a plan as to how to get from where you are to where you want to go. It is looking at the patterns, looking at trends and saying, how can I use them to my advantage? Sometimes in some respects, especially when it comes to products, strategy has been about positioning one's products. So do you want to position yourself as a premium product? Do you want to position yourself at mid-tier? But ultimately, it's the how do you go about it. its perspective on vision and direction. So enough of a history lesson, but in summary, strategy really ultimately amounts to a course of action, a blueprint, a vehicle to attain what you want, and a game plan. So what has not changed is the emphasis on planning and attaining the desired outcome, right from the times of the war. Even Winston Churchill, who led the British Army to success, said, "He who plans to fail is planning to fail." And I know many will be saying that isn't Winston Churchill's quote because it's been attributed to other people, but in this form, it is Winston Churchill who said it. He who fails to plan is planning to fail. What has changed again over time is really the mindset. In the past, it was about winning a war. It was overpowering. It was taking territory, wanting to, just overtake and overwhelm everyone else and take charge. But today, in leadership and in management, we are more about having motivation to achieve that desired outcome that we have. It's about commitment. It's about giving service to others. So with that and understanding strategy and the background of strategy, what are the components of strategic goal setting? And here I've put them very simply as 3: values, your goals, and your action plans. And here at Leadership Speak, this is what we're going to do. We're going to look at our values, we're looking at our goals and our action plans, because by the end of December, we're going to find we are in that category of 8-9% who will succeed. Now, values. Clarification what values stand for here. We keep hearing about, respect, integrity, service, and yes, those are values. But in this context, the clarification I'm making is that values is that fundamental belief or practice that you find desirable, that you find worthwhile. So it could be anything. And I've put forward a few things on the screen. For some people, it's financial security. For others, it's family, career, well-being. It could be anything, but what is important to you? And those will be the values. So in my case, I have taken, for instance, family as my top value. I've taken learning as my next value. I've taken making an impact because I believe learning has to come first, because if my cup is not full, I can't offer more to others. So I had to learn, I had to understand what I'm delivering today. And then I hope by delivering it, I can make an impact by sharing that knowledge. So I invite every one of you, if you've not already done this, Brahm has challenged us over and over again, but I invite you to look closely and think and reflect what are 3 or 4 values that I will be focusing my goals on. Don't take too many, because if you take too many, it becomes overwhelming. Find 3 or 4 and really promise yourself that you're going to focus on them. Then next comes your goals. So you set goals in those areas where the values are. Now, again, to go to the background of goals, goal setting started much later, but I want to focus on more modern goal setting theory. And that the proponents were Dr. Edwin Locke and Dr. Gary Latham around the late 1960s. And this really was the genesis for what most people today know as the SMART framework. But what they said was 5 elements have to be there for goals to really drive you. Clarity, challenge, commitment, feedback, and task complexity. Now, I won't go too deep into this because I don't want to make this too technical, but the bottom line of this is that if your goals are challenging and clear, you have a 90% greater likelihood of achieving them than if you have easy and vague goals. Now, this might sound counterintuitive, but this is the reason. If there's no challenge, there's no motivation. If you set them too easy, you don't think about them, you don't focus on them. But if they are challenging, then there's a desire to achieve them. But they should not be so challenging that they result in burnout. So just enough to excite you and motivate you. And that sort of is the real summary short of the modern goal theory. So go back to the items you have chosen as your values and think of challenging goals, but make them very clear. Then the third, and as I say, the genesis, and most people know the SMART framework. So they're not the ones who came up with this framework, but this is what led to the SMART framework. Now, most people at Leadership Speak do know what SMART stands for, but very quickly, your goal must be specific. You must have a measure for it. They must be attainable. So don't set goals that are beyond you. They must be relevant. So again, relevant to what is important to you and time bound. For purposes of this presentation, since we are talking 2023, I'm just going to make a random assumption that we are talking about your 2023 goals, but it may be what it is for you. If you want a half-year goal, so be it. Okay? And by specific, if you know, Brahm said I should be entertaining, and this has a lot of research, but listen to this. Someone said, I always wanted to be somebody, but then I realized I wasn't specific enough. You're not going to be somebody. You need to be very clear. Do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be a mathematician? What do you want to be? So be specific. So what's an action plan? Now, the action plan, very simply put, and if you will search the web, different authors, different writers have come up with different steps to what constitutes an action plan. Ultimately, it's a process. I keep it simple. You define the outcome you want, 5 steps. List the steps, the method that will be followed, and because you must have, if you want to grow and you want to improve, you need to have changes in your behavior. You prioritize your tasks, set deadlines. Now here, I recommend look at your calendar. Are you putting those things that are important for you in your calendar? If not, it's time you do, but have daily elements, because like anything, even starting a car, starting off, the takeoff needs more fuel. So make sure the first few days you are taking steps. It's half an hour, but make sure you have concrete action plans so that the first few days, and they say it takes 21 days to get into the rhythm, to get into the momentum. It takes 3 times as much. It takes 66 days before doing that thing becomes second nature and becomes automatic and robotic. And then identify the tools that you will use to track your progress. What can you do? Here at Leadership Speak, we have accountability buddies. We have a community that is holding us, but find ways to track your progress. But you must monitor, evaluate regularly. Don't wait to the end of the year. Determine. It could be monthly, it could be quarterly, and keep on. Yeah. Now with that, in the chat, and I can see time is against me already, but in the chat, what is wrong with these goals? And I'm just talking about how we can avoid some pitfalls of goal setting. Anybody in the chat, is there anything wrong with these goals that I have put here? Vague, future-based, Go on. All right, I got 2 answers, vague and future-based. Your goal should indeed be future-based, so that's fine, and thank you for that. Vague, I think it's very clear. I will stop eating. Okay, I will change it to I will stop eating fried foods in 2023. The negative part of these goals is the not. They are not motivating if you're trying to stop something you enjoy. If you like fried foods, it's likely that this resolution will not succeed, because after month 1, you will feel like eating that fried food. You really need to have extra resolve to keep it. So avoid framing your goals in negative. And as I said, in the best practices, I will keep coming back to goal setting. So try and frame them in the positive. How about saying, I will eat more healthy food in 2023. Let it excite you and let yourself look forward to it. Okay. As you go along, celebrate small milestones. Keep having goals. If you're eating a banana, you're going to have small bites. You're not going to have the whole banana in one go. So find ways to celebrate them and diarize those small steps so that you can succeed. Okay. When you say, I will go to the gym, that's not a goal. That's an action plan. That's a method. And what will you get? You will get that lady on the corner there. Nothing will happen. It will be fake news. You go to the gym, that is not a goal. Losing weight, it is. So it's time to start working on your goal plan. So finally, write your goals or tell your friends, because the more accountable you are, the more likely research has proven you will achieve your goals. And the golden rules are the dumb goals, not the smart goals. Does it give you, is it a dream you want to achieve? Does it uplift you? Have you got measures in it? And are you changing behavior? If you meet those golden rules, fellow Toastmasters, you will succeed. And I wish you extreme success, extraordinariness, as Brahm would say. And I look forward to celebrating your successes at the end of 2023. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Wow. All I can say is, wow, I didn't expect such a comprehensive presentation on goal setting and the vision and strategy, have values, action plan, where the word strategy came from and how the Greeks used it and so on. And it was used in the art of war, and now we use it in business. Ladies and gentlemen, Rozy Rana is the managing director of a very successful company in Nairobi. So she knows what she's talking about when she talks about goals and strategy, because she is heading a big company to do that. Now, I did make one mistake, which I'm sure the general evaluator is writing furiously. I did not ask the evaluator to introduce the objectives of the speech before Rozy Rana came on. So, Mr. General Evaluator, I know you will be writing that out to me, a ticket, and I'll take that ticket willingly. Now, we will go on to the regular speeches, which as prescribed by Pathways, and we have, I believe we have 4 speakers today, and we have a treat. The 4th speaker is a real treat. And of course, our club members are wondering who is Cynthia Wang, but you will get to know at the end. But for now, our member, Banasree, will be speaking next, our first speaker. And when I asked her about her goals, both inside and outside of a Toastmaster, or her growth plan, well, she wants to complete her High Performance Leadership Project, HPL, High Performance Leadership Project, by June 2023, which means she's doing her level 5 in one of her pathways, and develop skills and techniques of using humor in speeches. And outside, to network, connect, broadcasting, improve communication, speech, language. She's got a huge list of things she wants to achieve this coming year. Amazing. I just love it when people have so much to do, but get specific. And as you know from what Rozy said, we will make sure that in the club, you achieve some extraordinariness or complete extraordinariness. Her evaluator today is Mohammed Azimuddin. Mohammed, what are the objectives of Banasree's speech?
Respected Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters, and especially my target speaker today, Banerjee. Today, the speech is about question and answer session, and we are going to enjoy a really great session. And the purpose of this project is to learn about the practice facilitating a question and answer session. This is to practice delivering an informative speech and running a well-organized question and answer session. And the member is responsible for managing time, so there is adequate opportunities for both. Over to Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Mohammed Azimuddin. That's very great and very clear as to what the objectives are for Banasree. Mr. Timer, has Banasree told you how our timing should run? Are you okay with the timing and how you'll be timing?
Okay, so the timings are 5, 6, 7. 5, it will be the green, and 6, it will be the yellow, and 7, it will be the red. So this is for the initial speech, and then she will go on to the question answer session. The question answer session will be for max is the 13 minutes. So I will show the green light at 10, then at 11, and then at 13. So 10 green, 11 will be the yellow, and 13 red.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So as you know, this speech is in 2 parts. She will do a speech for 7 minutes and then a question and answer period for 13 minutes. So it means the audience needs to listen very carefully and be engaged to help our Toastmaster here be on her toes by asking her appropriate questions in accordance with her presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Banasree Banerjee. Shame, Banasree Banerjee.
You are so short. Do you use a sock for a sleeping bag? Do you live in a Lego house? These and many other remarks were thrown upon Maya while she was in her primary school in Mumbai. And her crime? She is shorter in height compared to the average height in her class, which made her ashamed of herself and eventually led to absenteeism, depression, and so on and so forth. Hello, Toastmasters and guests. Heightism or height shaming is just one of the many body shaming types of bullying that we encounter. There are other forms of body shaming like weight shaming, looks shaming, hairiness, hair color, shaming of the structure of your parents, are among others. Even though none of these body shaming types is actually acceptable, I would like to focus on short shaming, which is not often discussed, yet is one cause of bullying in schools. Maya was 14 years old. One day, she asked her father if she can get her legs amputated and get longer wooden legs, the prosthetic ones, fixed instead. It would be such an intervention, and that would help improve my height and boost my confidence. But her father was in tears. She actually was fighting silently something what we called short shaming. She didn't choose to be short. As the majority of us know, that has got to do with genetics and to some extent our lifestyle. Yet she has become a victim of heightism. According to bully statistics, an average of 9 to 98% of students in the school gets bullied, with 49% of them being students in the grades of 4 to 12. Short shaming is one form of bullying commonly seen in schools and also in our residential societies too. Some students, they take the delight in doing this attempt and they attempt to degrade or dominate over their shorter friends. As you all know, bullying has a negative connotation. But did you know where this word came from? It's a word coined by the Dutch. It originated from, I think, around 1500, and it was actually used as friends. And they started interchangeably used by men and women as my bully, as my pal. But around 1700, this took a turn and was started using, and it was started using as the word for harassment. And we just don't say it's not only towards children, but also it goes through adults sometimes. So what can schools and students and parents do to curb this effect? Every student craves for attention from their teachers. Unless the local laws and the students and the teachers make some arrangement, it is very difficult to make them understand the consequence of the bullying on victims as well as on the tormentor. Because reaching a point of acceptance and inclusion among students will be absolutely difficult. Now, how can our society counter it? No, we just can't stop it. Just the way we can't stop human trafficking, domestic violence, racism, we can't stop it. But we can do something. Words have tremendous power. Research says that both the bullies and the victims have some similar characteristics. And can you guess what? They all need love. Just not short shaming, but bullying stems from within the room they live in. Look at the videos and the games our children are playing and watching these days. Some of these games actually desensitize the children. It's the same type of child who would go and shoot in a school, kill their own peers, or go through bullying. Watch the games they play. I really understand there is something that we need to do to help these victims. Invest time in them. We have to be passionate and try to make a change. Your height does not define you. You may be short in height, but you are not short in abilities. You may be short in height, but you are not short in intelligence. You may be short in height, but your knowledge and skills can tower above everyone else. You can stand taller than everyone else, and with your self-confidence and your self-worth and self-skills can come out of you. Being short is not a curse, nor is it a crime. It is a difference in stature and shows the beauty and diversity of human. If you get teased for being short, try not to let it get to you. Way you can deal with it is to laugh. Laugh it along. Learn to casually poke fun at your short shamers too. When you are referred as short, you can say, no, I'm not short. I'm just cute. Don't be so jealous. You owe yourself the duty to care. Don't let someone's insensitive remarks determine your level of self-acceptance. Learn to love who you are. Enjoy and happily fulfill all your life. Your height is an expression of how your genetic cards were dealt. Can you choose your parents? Accept you and be you. Over to you, all my guests and all of you. If you have any questions, you can ask me. I would try my level best to give you some kind of share my knowledge and my experience with you all. So is there some questions I can, it's in the chat box, or would you like to raise your hand?
I suggest people raise their hand, and we can see some people raise their hand. So, Madam Zoom Master, if you will call those out.
If you can. If I'm not.
Mary Lou, you are muted.
I'm looking for the raised hands here, and I don't see any. Was it Singh Gupta? Did you have your hand raised?
No, it is on the screen. It's electronic hands raised. So if you can see, Marianna has raised her hand.
Okay, yes, I see that now. Yeah, Marianna and Sandy.
Yes, yes, Marianna.
Thank you very much for your presentation, and excellent to put a light on this problem. I have a question. How did you change your daughter's mind not to get her legs amputated? What did you tell her or your husband?
Okay. Now, Maya is not my daughter. It is something that I have gone through. With 5 feet 1 inch in height, I have had a different kind of life when I was in my primary school days. And later on, I knew one thing. If I can make myself stronger with my skills, I will be able to stand along with them in a school class group photo and not in front of them because I'm just the shortest. And my father helped me instill that strength in me so much that I started representing my state and also my country in badminton. And there was a day when they all came to me to learn about my experience at the nationals. So I did not actually allow Maya to ampute the legs.
Thank God for that. Thank you. Thank you.
But yes, it was a brilliant idea that was hovering around me when I saw one of the dancers in India, where she came up, even after an accident, she lost both her legs. And with those wooden legs, she ruled the world in terms of dancing.
Thank
Yes, who's there next?
Sandy?
Hi, Banasree. This is the first I've heard of short shaming. And I wonder, do you work in education? Do you educate people on this topic? What is your extraordinary goal? Because this is a very powerful message. I'm educated more already in this.
Yes, I was in the field of education. After that, I moved into some kind of training in different organizations, but my background has a little bit of touch of this short shaming, which I felt that nobody talks about. People talk about bullying in classrooms in terms of teasing or the looks, and as I said, your mama, your father, your like caste and creed, but heights was also every time you have to stand in front of the line because you're the shortest. Oh, you are in the middle. See that small little girl, give her a small role where she can just be a little bird in the story. I kept on going through this, and then I started doing my research. That why is this that I'm short, which I have no control over, becomes a point and it hurts me. That is a part of bullying. This is how I researched. And now when I see a lot of children, I can really talk to them and make them understand there is a way you can handle it.
Well, I certainly hope to hear more of this story in your speeches this year at Leadership Speak, because you certainly are passionate about that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your wonderful question. Yes, who is there? Anyone?
Brahm is next.
Thank you. One of the things, and I think you alluded to this in your speech, is when parents are involved, this is with schools. When parents are involved in the school and how the school is run and they form a community together, there's less bullying than when parents are not involved in that community in the school. Is that true? And how true is that? And is there any statistics? And why aren't we doing it more if that is true?
Yes, thank you so much for your question. So again, from my experience, I would give you a small snippet of a presentation I had actually done in one of the school. And there was this girl who wanted to talk about the fact that people teases her mother because she's fat or she has big structure. How can I stop my friends from stopping? And then I realized that there is a simple way if her mother could help her. And I brought her mother home, to the school. And I told her that, is it possible that you can help your daughter with some ways how you speak at home? Give her some ideas of role playing. Different situations, these are the things you can do. If they talk about, that day I heard about a yo mama joke. And it was, if my mama is so big, is she so big that she gets stuck in the air? So why don't you give her an idea that in case anything such is asked, you can just tell, yes, my mama is so big, she touches the sky and touches the God. So there are ways, parents influence the way we communicate. If we can get inside the brain and mind of a child, we can easily maneuver their thought process and their communication, and thereby give them the confidence to handle situations. So
Next we
yes,
have-
we should, yes.
Next, we have Dinesh.
Thank you, Banasree, for touching a very sensitive subject. I know the question that I was
Yes.
going to ask you already answered some of it too, but I'm going to still deep dive onto it too. And the thing that I want to deep dive onto it too is how important the role of the parents is in this kind of a situation, because in India, and I know you belong to India, I do too, one of the challenges even the parents have when their kids, boy or a girl, whatever matter, is short in height, their first comment is, pull up your height, be taller, otherwise you won't get married, you won't get a good boy or a girl for the marriage age. So I think this whole thing of the parenting is pretty important right from the childhood. So why would a child get shaming at school if parents makes them strong at home, saying, yeah, you're short, that's fine. But then there are certain things that can't be fixed. So how important the role of the parents is in building the confidence of the children, boy or a girl, those who are short in the height.
Yes. I feel there are two aspects, intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsically, you build the talent of the child. If you feel that you go to the classroom and you realize that your child is a little shorter than the others, as a parent, you take the onus of building that confidence in your child, considering her or his talent. And the second thing, start showing personalities. Messi, Bruce Lee, Diego Maradona, Prince, they all had reasons of their heights in their life. They were not too confident about their heights, but where they reached. So we have to show them something and push them from here. I think this is what, just not India, anywhere in many Asian countries, people are not 5'7", 6" in height. It's something very, once in a while you get to see in a family very tall people. So we can build up ourselves in terms of our education, language, proficiency in drama, sports, and that factor will not touch you when you're really strong in your character. So do we have time? Okay, so in a nutshell, I just want to bring a close to my my entire discussion that it is in the hands of parents. Give time, check what they're doing, let them not just enter and say, yes, everything was fine, and they shut themselves in their rooms. There could be a lot of things going on. Be with them from the day they are going to the school, and not only school, even in organizations, we have seen shorter people, they get little on the side, they get isolated. So work on your skills and potential, and you are no one can tame you down. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Wow, that is a very important subject. And especially here in North America, I know when I read the news from time to time and about the bullying, and certain kids even commit suicide because they've been bullied so much and nobody has been able to reach the kid and get them emotionally stable. Or even, why does bullying occur? What are the bullies' parents doing in their, in their house? What the conversation is over there? And I totally believe that if all parents are involved in the running of a school in the community sense, not in terms of the administration part, I think bullying would actually subside considerably. Thank you very much for that wonderful subject, a very, very important subject. Our next speaker is Our next speaker is our Vice President of Education, Marianna Burka. Now, again, of course, we asked everyone what their goals are in the club and outside the club. And in the club, summarizing what she has here, is she wants to earn the trust and respect of every member. Outside the club, she wants to build self-confidence as a Toastmaster with Toastmaster organization and plan to inject that in her personal and professional life. She wants to merge her leadership and communication and Zoom skills to serve her clients. Noble goals outside the Toastmasters, because this is what we do here in Toastmasters is whatever we learn here, we use it outside in the club, in the world. Her evaluator today is Sandy Amden. Sandy, what are the objectives?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Marianna's objectives today are to present a 5 to 7 minute speech discussing in some aspect of her leadership style. This is the leadership style projects in most paths. And yes, I believe that's what her objectives are.
Thank you very much there. Ladies and gentlemen, Marianna Burka, easygoing control freak, Marianna Burka.
In my mid-30s, I met Ethel. We were thinking alike and had similar interests. We became friends. One day, she looked at me, smiling, and said, "You are a control freak, too." Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, I didn't know. I thought there was something wrong with the world, that people just didn't understand my genius, because I had no doubt that I was always right. I always knew the shortest way between A to B. And I always had the simplest solution to any problems. Yet, I always had to put extra energy to convince people around me to see things in my way. Even friends, co-workers, and my family members. After my friend's revelation, I did some internet and soul searching. And I find out that my friend was right. I am a control freak. All of a sudden, one of my husband's first gift to me made sense. At that time, I found that funny, and I realized that he wasn't joking. On my behalf, my control never came from a position of wanting to put someone down, to diminish anyone, or not even to lift myself, to prove myself right. My control always came from the point of efficiency. Hence, I just didn't realize that my practical decisiveness meant control freak. Oops. So over the years, I changed. I learned that the most important thing is not being right. It's the most important thing is being heard. Well, changing It's a process. It's a slow process. But that change improved my everyday life. And knowing my personality trait saved me from lots of frustration. I joined Toastmasters, like many of us, to be a better speaker, presenter. But Toastmaster is also the place where leaders are made. At first, I didn't care about that. I didn't think that was relevant. I wasn't interested in leadership. I already knew everything there was to know, or so I thought, until I got my first leadership assessment. And I got the result. And when I say that, I smiled. The good old me is still leading. But I also smiled because right after being authoritative, to tell people that this is where we're going and let's go, I was more affiliated coaching, more peaceful, more agreeable. Now, I didn't have a test in my 30s, but if I would have one, it would probably look like that. And all that means for me that we can change. We all can change throughout our life. All we need is to have a recognition, a wake-up call, and the willingness. A recognition that something needs to be changed, and a willingness to do so. As I was retaking the assessment just a few days ago, I was surprised because even just 4 years, I changed again. And from autocratic, I became altruistic, a person who cares. What do you can give to a project? How can you contribute so we can reach the goal? And fellow Toastmasters, you are looking at a Toastmaster miracle, me, the control freak who always used to get what she wanted and learn to listen and accept others people's opinion. 4 years ago, when I joined Toastmasters, my goal was to learn to speak, to present. But now I realized the biggest effect Toastmasters had on me is to change my whole personality, to change how I communicate, how I connect, how I lead people. Now, I still know the shortest way between A to B, and I still have the most efficient solution to any problem. But now I'm willing to listen to an idea or suggestion of others. And I full-heartedly accept a decision of a group or an individual, even if it's not my preferred first choice. I changed over the years. I still am a control freak. Just now, I am easygoing. Fellow Toastmasters, if I could change, so can you. If you need to be. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. It looks like we are learning a lot this year, right at the beginning of the year. Control freak. Actually, basically, control occurs from my perception. This is the only way I see, and it must be right because I'm vested in that throughout my life, and I don't know anything else but this, so it must be right. And that's how, of course, most teams that are not collaborative or where there's no collaboration, people are more vested in the perceptions, narrow perceptions, rather than broadening the perception. And transformation is all about broadening perceptions and taking into account the whole world. Thank you very much for the wonderful speech. Oh, that was my coaching speaking. Everyone who is a coach here knows what I was saying. So now, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you a brand new member of our club who's going to be doing his icebreaker speech. Now, towards that, I have something to do, and here's what I'll do. Oops, I disappeared. Now notice that background behind me, right? It has got how many flags on it? 12 flags. Now, our friend who's going to be speaking next, brand new member, Kenneth Kajjora. There you go. We've added Uganda to the flags, 13 countries being represented at Toastmasters, at Leadership Speak Toastmasters. Is the 13th country being represented here? There it is, Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, we asked Kenneth the same questions. What are you going to do inside the club and outside the club this year? He will be participating in club activities and officer roles this year in the club. So we'll be asking him to be more specific, make it smart. Thank you, Rozy, for that wonderful introduction to what it means to be strategic. And outside, he's going to be making thorough connections to achieve a better job and career opportunities. His evaluator is Sandra Wilkes. Sandra, what are the objectives?
Thank you, Postmaster. Kenneth is doing his icebreaker on the power of connections, visionary communication 1, and it's the icebreaker where he gets to deliver a speech introducing himself to us in whatever style he chooses. Over to you, Brahm.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, our newest member from Uganda, Kenneth Kajjora, the power of connections, Kenneth Kajjora.
On 24th of April, 1990, a little boy came to this world, born to Miss Tangobiel and Miss Nasaka Juliet and 5 siblings in the family. It was a happy start, but few years down the road, the happy start turned sour. Toastmasters and the most distinguished guest, I am Kenneth Kajjora, a professional teacher, privileged to work with YMCA Uganda, where the founder of Toastmasters, Ralph Smedley, began a series of public speaking clubs. All my life, I have come to learn that having potential is never enough. Thousands of people died with their great talents and gifts, unnoticed, undiscovered, and uncelebrated because they lacked destiny connectors. I have come to learn that there comes a time in one's life when all one needs for the next stage is the right connection. My childhood to where I am today is a fine testament to the power of connections. During my primary school, I got connected to a family that raised me until I completed my primary school level. This was at a point when my wonderful family fell apart. After primary school, God connected me to another 4 families who raised me and educated from my secondary level to the university level, where I attained a degree course in industrial art and design. This was the beginning of my journey to becoming the profession I am today. I met my lecturer, who was not only my gift, but saw a gift in me. He saw a teacher in me. At this point, I wasn't a profession teacher. Through connections, he helped me get appointed to head a school. From that point, I metamorphosed into a profession teacher. Few years into this bliss rubbing shoulders with other head teachers, alas, my lucky break did not last. Uganda National Examination Board quality checks found me back on the street because despite the competences gained and passion, I did not have papers. With the savings from my job and some help from my aunt to top up, I joined a university and enrolled for a postgraduate diploma in education. In the process of studying, my lecturers of art kept mentioning the word pedagogy. He said, pedagogy? Through online research, I landed an opportunity that connected me to a full scholarship at Chambogo University for a master's degree in vocation pedagogy. This opened doors to where I am today. Cutting the story short, through another destiny connection, Mr. Henry Katamba, who is my electrician, connected me to a distinguished Toastmaster, Christine Navirio, in Uganda. DTM Christine Navirio told me about Toastmasters in 2020. I was elated. I immediately joined Toastmaster. I served a number of roles to where I am as a VPA, where I got connected to distinguished Toastmaster Brahm, who told me about leadership speak. I attended one of the meetings and I was elated. Today, I stand before great men and women at Leadership Speak to remind you about the saying that the distance between where you are right now and where you desire to be is not in kilometers, but in a measure called connections. Toastmasters, you are my destined connection to a new journey of improving communication and leadership skills. Will you kindly accept to take up this role until I reach my destination? Toastmasters. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kenneth. For those of you who would like to know more about Kenneth, he is actually a high achiever. How I got to know Kenneth is he just reached out to me from out of the blue, I don't know from where, and said, could you please come and be the Toastmaster of the day in my club? And could you bring a general evaluator as well with you? He is so totally committed to raising the level of his home club, Lubowa Toastmasters Club in Uganda, to the next level. And then he asked a few weeks later to have another person from Leadership Speak to run his meeting as a Toastmaster of the day. How many clubs do that? And so Fabiola went and a few weeks later and ran that meeting for him. Fabiola is our Vice President of Membership and past district director in District 81. We've sent to him international speech winners, a world champion of public speaking as well, and so on. So when Kenneth says about connection, this man here is a real connector. He brings people from all over the world to make sure that his club is going to be very, very successful. And I'm so honored, Kenneth, that you are here today in our midst and a member of Leadership Speak. And so I'm proud to say that Uganda flag here is very, very appropriate. Thank you so much for being here. Now, for our members and guests, our next speaker. Why did I invite her? She's not a member. I invited her to come and speak at Leadership Speak. And I only do that if I'm very, very, very impressed with somebody who's speaking. As you all know, our standards are, or my standards are high anyways, and I don't get impressed very easily. But I got so impressed with this next speech. I had been asked to go to the Miracle Chinese English Bilingual Toastmasters Club. Can you say that quickly? Miracle Chinese English Bilingual Toastmasters Club, MCBETM. And you know, I've known that club for a long time. They were in the same area as where I was, and several of their members, I know them very well, so I get invited there on a regular basis. Cynthia was doing a speech there, and her contest speech, and she won the contest with that speech. And you have to listen to this speech. It is out of this world. Her evaluator, of course, is going to be Persuasive, the finalist at the World Champion of Public Speaking. I don't think she expected to have an evaluation at that level, but here you go. Persuasive, are there any particular objectives you're looking for today?
She wants to win.
Good. And that will suffice, I think. Totally suffice. Anything else you would like to add to that?
We talked about it in advance, and she'd like some general tips on how to polish the speech. So I'll give her everything I got.
Thank you very much. With that, ladies and gentlemen, Cynthia Wang, the ship of 7 years. The ship of 7 years, Cynthia Wang.
Thank you, Miss Toastmaster. Dear friends, have you heard about a thought experiment called the ship of Theseus? In the experiment, we imagine a ship made of wood traveling by sea. Each time a deck is broken, we replace it. By the time all decks being replaced, is it still the ship it was? Coincidentally, there's a medical knowledge saying that our body is constantly producing new cells over the old. Every 7 years or so, all parts of our body would be replaced. So, after 7 years, are we still who we were? I'm about to turn 40. Borrow a famous quote from Confucius. At this age, people no longer suffer from perplexities. I feel I've finally arrived at a stage of being able to reassess my life journey. What has been the trajectory of my ship? Compared to years ago, am I still the old me? Let me tell the story with 3 7-year stages of my life. The first 7 years dates back to my age of 18, a distant but exciting memory. I was admitted to university. I could first time of life leave my parents and family. I was like a newly built little proud ship, couldn't wait to sail my first mile onto the ocean. A small town girl went to a big city. The world with infinite possibilities was unveiling itself in front of me. I started to date someone. I started to look for a job. I started to try so many things. The little ship sailed at sea with no particular direction or purpose. But who cares? That's what youth is for. I didn't know where I should go, nor who should I rely on. But I was optimistic and persistent. I believed the future gonna be fine. I was sure, even though I didn't know how. The first 7-year purposeless navigation passed fast. At age 25, I made 2 big decisions. First, combine 2 ships together. Yes, I decided to get married. Gutsy, right? But sailing is about adventure. Second, I felt the Sea of China could not hold me anymore. I decided to go abroad and journey to some distant seas of Canada. Just like this, two ships traveled to a totally foreign area. We had the intention to build a new ship, but unfortunately, both of us were reluctant to compromise. Shaking and staggering, we restarted our life. We went to school again, we learned a new language, we took on new challenges, and we had our first child. At this point, I still believed the future gonna be fine. I thought maybe I could rely on this man, the other half of my ship. However, the sea became way more complex than I had imagined. More and more decks needed to be adjusted and replaced. Could we manage it? I was still hanging there, but I started to doubt. Here comes the third 7 year, the most recent memory. I still remembered the winter of 7 years ago. I was pregnant with my second child, and the father said he no longer wanted to sail with us anymore. In the years before, we had sailed together, repaired together, changed the decks together. Separating would be bloody hell. And in the same time, the company I started was on the edge of failure too. This is not abnormal. Marriage is hard, startup business is hard. It's just my little ship was mauled badly. Where should I go? Who should I rely on? Hundreds of times, I wanted to abandon everything. At this point, I asked myself, what's the meaning of persistence? Could I still believe that the future gonna be fine? But I couldn't abandon. I still have my two beautiful girls. Sending those two ships out was still my responsibility. I have my parents. They would never want to see me sink. I needed to self-repair. I needed to sail out the storm. I could rely on nobody but myself. I went to see psychologist and a life coach, letting them be my lighthouse. I started to write again, looking for a sense of living in written thoughts. I joined the tide of social media. I told stories of immigrants to Canada, trying to find my lost identity in the same time. I found Toastmasters, adopting a stage to express myself and meet like-minded friends. Gradually, deck by deck, I'm readjusting my ship. I'm cutting out the bad decks and installing new ones. I'm evolving. The evolution is still underway, and here I am. The voyage of 21 years has been rough but fast. When I look back, trying to seek and grab something certain, but I fail. Well, what I am sure is, no matter how perplexed, anxious, or helpless you were in certain moments, it will pass. And one day you will find yourself, the one who persevered, would be able to detach from the past and acquire the ability to sail again, freely and firmly. Yes, we are all ships of Theseus. Things and persons we encounter during our journey might bring about a reason for us to change a deck, voluntarily or passively. With more and more decks being replaced, the ship is upgraded. Even our body is constantly bringing forth new cells to replace the old. So when we sail far enough, is this still the ship? Am I still me? Yes and no, but definitely a much stronger ship and a much better version of me. At this point, I believed again that the future gonna be fine. My dear friends, how is your ship going? Are you willing to or dare you change your unwanted decks? Please never forget to take care of your ship, and I truly wish we all have the ability to change, upgrade, and sail further again. Thank you, and back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Wow. Did you hear that? I was impressed with that speech, and I'm again re-impressed with that speech. How are you building your ship, ladies and gentlemen? What sort of decks are you putting in? And however strong they are, will they be permanent? And would you still be the same 7 years from now? Great questions. Love it. Thought-provoking. And it's through her own experiences and life that she's lived. But I leave that to the evaluator, of course, delve into that, but I love this speech. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to ask the timer for the timing report, and I will ask the Zoom master to launch the poll. Mr. Timer. Mr. Timer.
Oh, wait. Yeah, sorry. A very good evening once again. Toastmaster Rozy took 17 minutes. Toastmaster Banasree took 7.20 minutes in the first speech, and the question answer session, she took 10 minutes and 30 seconds. That is total 18 minutes. Toastmaster Marianna took 7 minutes, 30 seconds. Toastmaster Kenneth took 6 minutes, 20 seconds. Toastmaster Cynthia took 7 minutes, 20 seconds. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Please continue to vote. You'll see the poll on the screen. The time is, as I said, we'll run a little bit late, and we ran 10 minutes late. But it was worth it, wasn't it? And so we will have a break of only 1 minute. So if you want to get your coffee, if you want to do anything else, please do that now. And Mr. Timer, read at 1 minute. Thank you. I would urge a few more people to keep voting, because there's only 20 people who've done that, and some more can vote. That'd be great. And then we'll close the voting. Thank you, Mr. Timer. We will begin again. Ladies and gentlemen, today I will now, sorry, not today. Now I will ask our general evaluator to do his general evaluation. Let me just introduce what he's just said on here. In the club, his goals this year are to continue the growth attained in 2022. Oh my goodness. Is that the speech that Rozy did? and progress into 2023, the vision becomes clearer. Outside, it is his passion to serve the needy, not the greedy, and there's much work needed in the community as well. I would hope that you'll make these, of course, goals more specific. Ladies and gentlemen, my very good friend who I've known for a while, and he was the club coach of the year just a year before I was the club coach of the year. Help me welcome Ram Lakhanpal.
Toastmaster of the day. Good morning to everybody. On January 2nd, just last Monday, we had a very, very special workshop done by Dr. Lance Scretton, I believe. Delivered a workshop worthy of attendance, 2 hours full of action, etc. And this is what global leaders do. They come to this club because they see substance here. People embrace such a place, such a club, such a growth, and really wanting it. As a general evaluator, I look at the theme. The theme was, what is your strategy? growth plan for 2023. Word of the day, what an appropriate, unique word, maneuver. I've been maneuvering around a lot of things and they haven't done table topics or one a role or the other, but today I'm doing the general evaluator. There's a lot of things to remember, keeping track of what's going on, what's not going on, etc. Assisting me in the meeting today will be some very, very talented individuals, Toastmasters, senior, very, very senior individuals as well from clubs around the world. I'd like to begin with the evaluation portion, evaluation of the speeches. And Mr. Timer, Toastmaster Asif, the timing for all the evaluators will be 2, 2:30, and 3. As a GE, I'll provide some feedback after the evaluation, just very, very short little snips here and there. So we're keeping in mind that we're running a little bit behind time and we can't go over way too much over time. And to begin with, the first evaluator that I like to call upon would be Banasree's, Banerjee's evaluator, Muhammad Azimuddin.
I'm afraid you're missing out Fabiola for the leadership.
Oh, sorry.
evaluator.
Yes, the most important one. How could I miss that in that list? See, as I said, I've been doing about all these little things and there. Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. And please, for Rozy's, Fabiola Cleofa, the evaluator for Rozy Rana.
Thank
Fabiola?
you. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Make 2023 your most success year. Wow. Hearing that title, first meeting of the year, I would say, what else is there that can be giving us that was not said? Well, I was impacted by what we got today in this speech. It was a research and presenting speech. So yes, our speaker did her research very well, very in depth. And it all started with some very interesting statistics that for me was eye-opening. Only 8 to 9% of people does complete their goal setting for the start of the year. And yes, it's something that we know, but I didn't think it was so low. So for this research, I was glad to get these statistics, but there were others. The whole giving us where all strategies come from and the way that the presenter gave us the sources from where she's getting all this information, made it so credible, and it kept me interested throughout the whole maneuvering of the presentation to keep listening. I want to get more. Yes. And the interesting part about it was that each time switching to another part, she would connect it back to the first one. And so we could follow that very easily. At a certain moment, we said, okay, enough with this history. And then she went over to giving us some very practical actions. Now, at this point, it did switch from giving us the research sources, and it was more credible experience. So because of this project that was research and presenting, maybe at this point, you could have given us points like the action plan comes from a source, ... And also maybe even if it was something that you are experienced with and you can't remember the source, tie it into this is an action plan coming from such and such research, and it has been proven because I have implemented it into my company or something like that. So those are improvements because of this project. But other than that, taking a topic that it is very matter of factly at the start of the year and making it so interesting and so credible, and also the action plans that were given at the end, that was the top of it. Congratulations with a very well presented topic. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Fabiola. I apologize for missing you at the very beginning. I didn't forget. Just got too many things on maneuvering things around. Makes it challenging, but nevertheless, you did very well. The only two things that I would notice that the interchangeability of the words success and successful. Keep that in mind. And the other thing that I would have commented a little bit more, how wow, what a PowerPoint presentation it was, and its effect it did follow through that that was done, and you did quite well in mentioning so many other things in there. And in the due to time, I'm not going to spend a lot of time in here because I would like to get back in time. It's important, first meeting of the year, and we have to start on time, and we will end on time. That is very well done. Thank you so much, Fabiola. Speaker number one, in evaluating Banasree Banerjee with Muhammad Azimuddin. Muhammad.
Thank you very much, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and especially my speaker, Banasree Banerjee. Good morning and good evening. So today's story was very interesting. The story was about a short-heighted girl, Maya, and she was bullied in the class because of her short height, and she was feeling shame of it. And at a point of time, she decided to get her shorter legs replaced with longer ones. And the story ended with the motivational advices, like instead of being ashamed of it, enjoy with whatever you get. So story went well with good speaking confidence, clarity of voice, appropriate body language, good English, and understandable attire. Then the question answer session started, and it was very professional. 4 questions were there, and all 4 questions were responded with a story to elaborate the response. That was the good point. And the question and answer sessions ended with a summary speech. That was the most essential part of a question answer session. And that gives the message that the audience take home, that everything was fine. So what I suggest here, the story was emotional, and the speaker could use the voice modulation along with the choreography to bring out the feelings of sympathy for Maya in audience. And that I think I am missing in this, I missed in this story. Secondly, I could not see the speaker herself as a character inside the story. So if you will try to put it or take some role or character inside the story, that could make a great impact. So you told someone else's story. That was also very good. And at the end, I would like to congratulate you for wonderful story, successful completion of your project, and like to see you speaking in future as well. Over to General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Muhammad, for a very, very comprehensive evaluation. And we move on to my comment. I thought that you mentioned about the Banasree's, who is this character? that character was well hidden. And I think it was by design that it was hidden. It's only when Marianna asked the question that she revealed that who that short lady or short girl, 5'1", was there. And she brought that out with some emotion, which was very, very, very obvious. And I know sometimes we are very, very emotional and we cannot project exactly what the message of the speech was all about. But great job. You caught on to a lot of good things there within the speech. Now we move on to, thank you very much, Mohammed. Move on to the second speaker evaluation. Sandy Emden, evaluating Marianna Burka. Sandy?
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. To Marianna and fellow Toastmasters and guests. This was a project where you were to talk about your leadership style in this presentation, but there was a lot of work before around discovering your leadership style. And I've done this project, but I really don't remember the category of easygoing control freak. And I think you've just added a new category to that assessment. This is a new term that maybe I will use. There are many things that I'm going to try to capture in 2 minutes to let you know what I saw in this presentation. I want to address the Zoom presence, which is something that we are trying to do here at Leadership Speak. And I loved your Zoom presence. I like the background you chose, the lighting. I like that you were standing and moving and were able to use gestures and confidence, and even what you wore, because sometimes you wear too much color or hair is messy, but your presence on Zoom during your presentation, Marianna, showed a lot of polish and preparation, and I learned a lot. Thank you for that. I also loved that you brought the project to life by really emphasizing the opportunities and the value that we can get here at Toastmasters in leadership, because many Toastmasters who have been around for a long time, myself included, did not come for leadership, came for learning how to speak in public. And I like that reminder in those opportunities. An area for improvement might be, I think one of the greatest things for me, or what stuck out for me, and I thought it was humorous, maybe you don't, but where you started when you were around 30, and that you were, I don't know, 80 or 90% sort of my way or the highway, and then it was not much else. And I would have liked to have been able to see that clearer or with more emphasis, because your body sort of covered it up, and you're a master at putting things on either side so it doesn't take away from your connection with the audience and your body language. The hoot for me, for sure, was the sign that your husband, I'm only guessing he's your ex-husband, but I loved that sign that said Marianna's way or no way, and that you summarized for us in the end that even though you've learned and changed your leadership style, you're still a little bossy and you're still a little direct, and you still like to get things done and go from point A to point B. So as an evolving leader, I continue to learn from you. And I've learned today that although we want to evolve and change, at the root, we want to remain the same. I learned a lot. Thank you for the teaching.
Thank you very much, Sandy. My comments, very, very simple and to the point. I thought you did pick up on Marianne's control freak portion, and I saw it differently, that there is a surprise element there in my dealings with Marianna. And I did not see a control freak totally. Occasionally she might do this or that, but I guess with more interactions with Marianna, I would get to know that real Marianna with that control freak character. Humor, yes, she brought that about, and it does make a difference, doesn't it? when we have a little humor in our speeches. It breaks the monotony, and that you braced, which was very, very good. Thank you, Sandy, for your evaluation. Now we move on to speaker number 3, and we're calling on Sandra Fox, evaluating Kenneth Kajjora. Sandy, Sandra.
Thank you. My mother never let anybody call me Sandy. It was a man's name, she said. We had a neighbor.
Well, I've got it. I've got the man here.
And a dog.
Oh, geez.
And a dog.
Oh, wow.
We had a neighbor by the name of Sandy.
Something I noticed there. I said, Sandra, that must be the full name. Anyways, please continue your evaluation.
Thank you so much.
Sandra this time.
Yes, yes. It is an opportunity to always listen well. And that's what evaluation is about. And Kenneth, I was so excited to be chosen to evaluate you. I spent some time in Uganda, so I'm a little familiar and hope that my straight talk isn't too much. So if I'm too much, just say time out, Sandra. Anyhow, yes, connections. You had a fine opening. I really liked the way you didn't come in and apologize. You know, so often we kind of repeat something from an introduction and so on. You just came in nice and clean and said, many years ago, here was the child in the hands. And it was beautiful. I like that it's a nice, clean opening. You're authentic. There's no question. You are Kenneth. The Kenneth we heard, the Kenneth we saw, that's who I feel you are in your heart and soul as well. That came across. Being authentic and caring, your smile and your natural gestures really added to it all for me. Your speech was well organized and well delivered, and we certainly got to know who was Kenneth, which is the whole point of the icebreaker coming into especially into a new club. Now, one of your areas, because your pronunciation, your language, you've really mastered all of that. You've got a good pace, which allows for an accent to be understood. Really important. So I know I work with people in India and they talk so fast. And then they add a little accent, you can't catch it. You were well paced, not too fast. Now, an area, because I know it's an icebreaker, but you're also not a new Toastmaster. You're here to grow. I listen to tone, and your tone tends to be almost mono within a wave. So it's I call it sing-song. If you have a chance to listen to it back and see if you can get rid of that sing-song and just move into statements and facts or confidence and so on, that sing-song aspect will disappear and you'll find it more effective, in my opinion. Your personal story is powerful. You're here to inspire the world, and you've got so much to give to young men and women to inspire them to reach higher. You've got it. You know how you got there. You fought it. And I really loved that. I don't know what the agagoche was. It was around scholarships, but I was trying to write it down the way I heard it. And it was, that catches attention. It's a beautiful thing to do. A measure of connections, that could have been your closing. I just, when we came to the ending, I wanted that stronger closing, that stronger call to action. So that was a nice, powerful, the measure of connections, whatever that would be. And then you went on for another 1 or 2 sentences, and that kind of muddied up the closing. But overall, you are inspired and you are inspiring, and I look forward to your growth in this club. Generally evaluated.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sandy. Maybe for a while, I'll call you Sandy. We don't mind. Thank you so much, Sandy, for the evaluation. Very little about the icebreaker. We have the liberty to do lots in the icebreaker. You can talk about anything and everything, and you did that quite well. And the only thing I thought, that professional teacher, he mentioned quite a few things about that. He mentioned the type of professional teacher he is, I don't recall. I was busy writing a lot of things down. But however, the monotone aspects of the speech, and you suggested ways in which to improve, how to make it better or to eradicate some of the things when looking back at the video. I thought that was quite commendable that you noticed as an evaluator, as growth points were quite good. Thank you again, Sandy. Now we move on to our speaker number 4. And this speaker, it's speaker number 4, Cynthia Wang. But to do that, we're going to be calling Toastmaster Percy. Keep in mind that Percy's been drinking a lot of coffee just to keep awake, ensuring that every bit of the evaluation is going to be great, like as usual. Toastmaster Percy, to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. The truth is I'm over here in Texas now, and I haven't even begun to have any coffee, and yet I'm this nuts. Way to go, Cynthia Wang. Great job. Great job. Listen, Cynthia, when you and I communicated before, you said you wanted general notes, some polish. Those are actually two very opposite things. General notes are not polish. You need to decide as a speaker in a contest what kind of notes you want for each specific time that you do your speech. You have to choose something that somebody's going to look at so they can be incredibly surgical. There's no way they can look at everything. So here's your general notes. Thank you for your heart. Now, what's in it for me? I mean, no, that's brutal, isn't it? I just took your greatest vulnerabilities and went, what's in it for me? But bottom line, that's what you have to answer. And I know what I'm talking about. I've given a speech about my own divorce. I'm telling you, it's going to get brutal, but you can do it. So here are some things that work out really well. Really strong images. You speak in metaphor. This is what Brahm Memone said he loved about your speech. You use the metaphor and you sail that. You see what I did there? You sail that into the sunset. Beautiful. But you need to sail it into the sunrise. What? You need to sail it into the sunrise, not the sunset. We're Chinese. Sunsets, bad luck. Sunrise, hopeful. It's singular. It's consistent. You stayed on track. You stayed with the storyline. It kind of came out like an icebreaker, though, which is another kind of shift, by the way. You would know that in Montreal. It shouldn't sound like an icebreaker. It should sound like some of the other speeches that we had today that were not icebreakers, where we're trying to say, come on, come on, come on, you can do it. So you need to stay singular and consistent and yet shift the direction of the speech. Remove the tone of self-pity. I know self-pity is the only emotion that doesn't work with an audience. You don't want them to pity you. You want them to take your story and learn from it. Not the victim. Don't play the victim, but play hope, that you see hope. Remember, you're coming from a point of view that you're on section 4 of your 7 years, right? You're on 4. You went through 1, 2, boom, hit 3, but you're working on 4. You need physical and facial gestures, my friend. You've got to have physical and facial gestures, whether you're online or in person. Got to have them. And you got to have humor. I know you're like, how do I have humor in such a tragic story? I got a speech from 3 years ago. Take a look at it. You got to find a humor. Keywords. This is what you need to work on. And this is conceptual, and it's going to take you a while. Start working right now. I'll shut up. Go ahead and work. Just kidding. Keywords. You have to have keywords so that when you're speaking, we key in on that word. I gave you the feedback. I wrote down exactly line by line by line, almost exactly where you need to really make shifts in your speaking. Find the keyword. 1 keyword per breath. That's all you get. 1 keyword per breath. To everyone in our audience, 1 keyword per breath. In any speech, but definitely in a contest speech, you got to be really surgical. Where are you breathing? There are 4 kinds of breathing. What? There are 4 kinds of breathing. You can have thought, where you breathe at the sentence. You can have, it's not on there. You can have phrasal, where you breathe at the comma. You can have fragmentation, where you might even breathe and break up a particular word. Or you can have enjambment, where you jam words together. These are 4 different kinds of breathing. You have to demonstrate the 4 different kinds of breathing, and that shifts the audience around, and they don't know what's coming next. Because once the audience knows what's coming next, well, then you know what happens when the audience knows what's coming next. When the audience knows what's coming next, and back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, First C, Toastmaster First C. What an evaluation. What am I to add? The only thing I would say would be something very, very tiny so that we move on and stay on time. Lots of takeaways. And would you be providing a written evaluation suggest that you do? And I think you said something about line by line. Wow, that is quite an evaluation. That is how an evaluator does. And great job again, Firsty, Toastmaster Firsty. Now we come to an end of all the evaluations. The only thing to do in the evaluation portion would be to have our lunch best evaluator voting time. Mr. Timer, would you launch that, or Mr. Sergeant at Arms, whoever is doing it, if you would do that, please, before I go on to finish. There you go, very, very fast.
In the meanwhile, do you want to know the timings?
Oh, yes, thank you very much. That was one of the things I had in there. Thank you very much, Mr. Timer. Very observant on your part. Toastmaster Mohammed, if you would, please.
Yeah. So Toastmaster Fabula took 3 minutes 40 seconds. Toastmaster Azimuddin took 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Toastmaster Sandy took 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Toastmaster Sandra took 3 minutes and 26 seconds. Toastmaster Percy took 4 minutes. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much. Are we done with the timing and voting?
I'll just give it another couple of seconds to go for a minute.
All right.
Ram, share the results.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to evaluate the entire meeting, and it will be brief, as I've been saying, and keeping the timing in mind of the duration of our meeting. The Toastmaster of the Day, right bang on. We'll start with the Toastmaster of the Day, starting the meeting right on the button. And that was great. And then he went into the evaluation portion of evaluating what happened in 2023 and what the year would be like in 2023. And there are some great things happening, already started, already taken action. It's good to know what's coming up ahead so we can plan accordingly. And the only thing I would say when we did our evaluator, or sort of introducing the evaluator for the speaker, then it's forgotten, but very quickly corrected. That was really, really good. Where am I? As I was saying, the meeting started, it's called spot on. Timer, Mr. Timer, Toastmaster Asif paid great attention to the entire proceedings. Very well done. Roll takers were there, timing, and now I call upon our grammarian. Would you indicate your report, please?
Thank you, General Evaluator. Yes, we had a wonderful speeches and evaluations today. A lot of words were used, a lot of phrases were used, but I found very few outstanding words and outstanding phrases in today's meeting. So the good usage of words, I found intrinsic, extrinsic, and right tone. When it comes to phrases, I really liked the Banasree told shorter in height. And the title of the speech, the Marianna speech, easygoing control freak. And I love the saying of Banasree, learn to love learn to love who you are. These are the comments from grammarian role, and 5 times the word of the day were used, and Brahm used twice, and Banasree used once, and Ram used twice. General Evaluator, over to you.
Thank you, Madam GE. Yes, we're moving on. Your recording is quite correct. We would have encouraged the use of the word of the day just a little bit more, perhaps. And you could have one thing a little bit different. It would be saying, well, I have a quota. I would like this word. Not often used, but very, very good word to be used. And you'd say, well, I would like to see this word used 15 times throughout the meeting. Would have been great. So we have something to look forward to. That would be great. Other than that, you did a fantastic job. With that, I bring my evaluation as GE to a close, and I return control to our Toastmaster of the Day, Brahm Memone. Brahm, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. 2023. It's going to be an amazing year for whoever is going to be in leadership speak, or whoever is. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. I want to thank our guest speaker, Cynthia Wang, for being here. I still think your speech is amazing, but of course, for the contest, you'll have to do a few tweaks as per Percy. I wonder if Percy is having a Texas toast right now. He hasn't started his coffee yet. All right, Percy, make sure you have that Texas toast all ready for us. Now, strategic growth plan or strategic goal plan. What is the difference? Did you get that during the meeting? A goal plan is, for example, the number of speeches I will do or number of dollars I will earn, the next, job that I will get or the promotion. That's the goal. Growth is, who can I be? Am I being the best version of myself? Why am I doing what I am doing? And how can I be better? Right? Those are growth goals. And those are more important than the other goals. So growth is better than goals. And when growth is there, then goals come very, very easily. So that's the difference. And what do I mean by strategic? As we've heard from Rozy, it's an end result or a result that places you in the eyes of the world in a certain manner. Strategic. So how you're seen and how you're heard and so on. So it's very strategic as to where you really want to be and where you want to go. That's why we're here. It's leadership speak. And it's all about leadership. Authenticity is key in that for being strategic and to have a growth plan. Authenticity is key, number one thing. Again, congratulations to our best speaker, Cynthia Wang, and our best evaluator, Percy. They were a duo. Good. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think I have any more in my notes. So we will adjourn this meeting. But the guests, please stay on because I'd like to speak to you.